Tonight, Boeing, the American aerospace titan, has done the unthinkable, sending shockwaves through the entire aviation industry and beyond. The company is halting all commercial aircraft production across the United States, bringing its legendary assembly lines to a standstill. This isn't just a corporate move, it's a seismic event with global repercussions, sending ripples through international markets and the very fabric of air travel. The effects are being felt everywhere, from Washington's factory floors to airports worldwide, as uncertainty spreads among workers and travelers alike. For generations, Boeing's assembly line symbolized American prosperity, innovation, and the country's leadership in the skies. Now, an unnerving silence raises urgent questions about our economy, our workforce, and America's global standing in a fiercely competitive industry. The decision, announced after a tense week of speculation and mounting pressure, marks a crisis point for a company long seen as a cornerstone of American industry. This is not a pause, it's a full-scale production halt, with no clear timeline for when or if operations will resume. Industry veterans describe it as unprecedented in modern U.S. history. The implications are staggering. A crippled supply chain that stretches across continents, tens of thousands of jobs at risk, from engineers and machinists to suppliers and local businesses that depend on Boeing's operations, and a blow to America's status as the world's leading aerospace manufacturer. The world is watching, anxious and uncertain, wondering how a company so integral to global travel and commerce could simply stop building planes overnight. This halt is the result of years of mounting pressures, trade disputes, regulatory battles and internal struggles that have eroded confidence and stability. The immediate trigger, a perfect storm of supply chain breakdowns, regulatory delays, and a rapidly shifting global marketplace, has left major facilities in Everett, North Charleston, and St. Louis eerily quiet, a stark symbol of a much larger national problem that extends far beyond Boeing itself. The shockwaves hit Wall Street instantly, sending Boeing's stock tumbling and rattling investors across the globe. But the real impact is on workers, airlines, and the countless families whose livelihoods are now in jeopardy, and on the stability of global commerce, as supply chains falter and trade slows. Boeing's shutdown is more than a business headline. It's a national crisis, touching every corner of the economy and raising fears about the future. And tonight, we break down what it means for you, your community, and the industries that rely on Boeing's success. The story of Boeing's halt is a story about our country, our economy, and the world. Stay with us as we uncover the full impact of this unprecedented event. Boeing's production freeze is the result of a long, troubled journey. The crisis deepened after two tragic 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019, which killed 346 people and shattered trust in Boeing's safety culture. The fallout led to global groundings, billions in losses, and intense regulatory scrutiny, slowing certification of new aircraft and exposing quality control issues. COVID-19 then devastated travel demand, forcing airlines to cancel orders and disrupting Boeing's global supply chain. Even as travel rebounded, supply bottlenecks lingered, making it impossible for Boeing to meet demand. These compounding factors, MAX disasters, regulatory hurdles, and pandemic aftershocks, left Boeing deeply vulnerable. The stage was set for a devastating blow when the latest trade war escalation hit. As Boeing struggled internally, its challenges were about to be compounded by forces far beyond its own control. A global economic conflict erupted, sending shockwaves through international markets and industries. In 2025, the US-China trade war escalated dramatically. President Trump raised tariffs on Chinese imports to a staggering 145%, aiming to pressure Beijing but risking global repercussions. China retaliated swiftly, imposing a 125% tariff on American goods, especially targeting commercial aircraft, a sector where Boeing was most vulnerable. This shattered decades of duty-free trade for planes, instantly doubling the cost of a new Boeing jet for Chinese airlines and making deals nearly impossible overnight. China, once Boeing's fastest-growing and most promising market, was suddenly closed off, leaving airlines and manufacturers scrambling. The impact became painfully real on April 19, 2025, when a brand new 737 MAX for Xiamen Airlines was flown back to storage in Seattle, undeliverable due to the new tariffs and trade restrictions. This single event symbolized the collapse of global trade norms and sent a chill through the entire aerospace industry, raising fears of a prolonged downturn. Boeing had struggled for years to resume deliveries to China. Now, a new and seemingly insurmountable wall had gone up, blocking access to a vital market. Combined with supply chain chaos, regulatory delays, and mounting uncertainty, the trade war created the hostile environment Boeing cited for its production freeze. The crisis was no longer theoretical, it was here, unfolding in real time and threatening the future of an entire industry. The stage was set for a full-blown industrial emergency, with consequences that would ripple far beyond Boeing's walls. The political response was immediate and explosive. Former President Trump took to social media and the airwaves blaming the current administration for Boeing's crisis. He called the freeze a predictable result of weak leadership, overregulation, and failed trade policies. Boeing is an American jewel and we're letting it die, he declared, demanding government action and a tougher stance on China. Trump's rhetoric turned the Boeing shutdown into a central political issue, framing it as a battle over America's industrial future. He argued that his own tariff strategy was necessary, blaming his successors for mishandling it. The crisis quickly became a partisan flashpoint, with Trump supporters seeing vindication and opponents blaming his trade wars. The fate of Boeing was now a high-stakes political football. The pressure on Washington to respond was immense. The economic fallout from Boeing's freeze was swift and severe, sending shockwaves through the entire aerospace industry almost overnight. Tens of thousands of Boeing jobs are at risk, but the ripple effect is even larger. Over 12,000 U.S. suppliers depend on Boeing's business, from small machine shops to major parts manufacturers. Experts warn that hundreds of thousands of jobs could be threatened nationwide, as layoffs and furloughs spread far beyond Boeing's own workforce. Boeing's stock plummeted, erasing billions in value and shaking the broader market. Investors scrambled to reassess their portfolios as the company's troubles deepened. With no clear timeline for resuming production, investors and airlines face deep uncertainty. The entire aviation sector is now on edge, bracing for further disruptions. Airlines may cancel orders, costing Boeing billions in future revenue. Some carriers are already seeking compensation or looking to rival manufacturers. Commercial aircraft are America's largest manufacturing export. With production halted, the U.S. trade deficit will widen, and export-dependent communities will feel the strain. The Federal Reserve had already warned that tariff uncertainty was hurting investment. Now the freeze is a body blow to the economy, threatening to slow growth even further. China's 125% tariff closed off a market expected to account for 20% of global aircraft demand, forcing Boeing to reconsider its global strategy. The return of that $55 million 737 MAX was just the beginning, signaling a cascade of cancellations and returns that could last for years. Now, with a full production stop, the potential losses are staggering. Analysts estimate the total impact could reach tens of billions of dollars. The union representing Boeing workers called it a five-alarm fire for American manufacturing, warning of long-term damage to the nation's industrial base. This is a crisis of national economic importance, with consequences that will be felt across every corner of the U.S. economy for years to come. Behind the numbers are real people, skilled workers, engineers, and technicians whose lives have been upended. For many, Boeing was more than a job. It was a source of pride and stability for families and entire communities. Now, they face layoffs and uncertainty, with local economies bracing for the fallout. My father and grandfather worked here. We build the best planes in the world. To be told to just stop, it's heartbreaking, said one machinist. The shutdown ripples out. Local businesses suffer and airline employees face stalled careers as fleet upgrades are delayed. Travelers may see higher ticket prices and fewer flights as airlines keep older planes in service. The sense of stability and optimism is gone, replaced by fear and tough conversations at home. The pride of building something that connects the world has been replaced by anxiety. This is the true unquantifiable cost of the crisis. The human toll is profound and ongoing. Boeing's shutdown instantly became a political flashpoint ahead of the 2026 midterms. Republicans blamed the administration's regulations and China policy, while Democrats pointed to Trump's trade wars and Boeing's own missteps. Labor unions, caught in the crossfire, demanded urgent action from both parties to save jobs and stabilize the industry. This is not a Republican or Democratic problem. This is an American crisis, declared the Machinists' Union. The fate of Boeing is now a symbol of broader anxieties about economic security and global competitiveness. Candidates in key states will be forced to take a stand on trade, regulation, and industrial policy. The shutdown has turned a complex crisis into a potent political weapon. Industry experts warn that Boeing's freeze is a watershed moment for U.S. manufacturing. Aviation analysts call it unprecedented, a shocking failure of corporate and national policy. The damage could be long-lasting, eroding America's dominance in commercial aviation and opening the door for Airbus. MIT's Professor Linda Chen calls it a wake-up call. We've assumed our leadership was guaranteed. This crisis shows it's not. Experts say the solution requires coordinated action, government support, supply chain investment, and workforce training. They caution against blaming only trade wars. Boeing's internal failures played a major role. FAA officials note that regulatory delays stem from Boeing's own quality lapses. The path forward is perilous. Smaller suppliers may not survive a prolonged shutdown, making recovery even harder. The OECD warns the full impact of tariffs and production halts is yet to be seen. There are no easy fixes. Rebuilding trust in supply chains will require vision and leadership. Tonight, the future of Boeing and American aerospace is uncertain. Silent factories and grounded planes are stark reminders of a crisis with deep roots. The next steps depend on corporate decisions, political negotiations, and global economics. Workers wait anxiously while leaders face pressure from Wall Street, unions, and government. The best-case scenario, urgent US-China negotiations and government support could restart production. The worst, a prolonged stalemate, mass layoffs, and a loss of market share to Airbus. The fate of Boeing is tied to America's economic future. This is a defining moment for industry and for the nation. The story is far from over.